The Fatah are a political and military organization that was founded in the late 1950s. Their goal was basically to wrest Palestine from Israeli control. They began their protests by waging low-intensity guerrilla warfare, which is the use of hit-and-run tactics by small, mobile groups of irregular forces, so the Fatah, operating in territory controlled by a hostile regular force, which would be Israel. The Fatah became more popular in the 1960s, which was also when they gained Syrian support and the Israelis attacked a village in Jordan. This attack happened in 1968, and Israel's main target had been the Fatah. Though they lost the battle, the Fatah gained some serious political and psychological support from it. By the end of the 1960s, they had become the most popular and best-funded Palestinian organization, and had even managed to take over the PLO, or the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Things progressed from there, with the Fatah remaining in fantastic control of both government and military, with their leader and founder, Yasser Arafat, at the head. In 1993, something called the Oslo Accords popped up. It was an agreement between Palestine and Israel, and the biggest point that we need to make about it is that it would force the Palestinians to surrender their right of return beliefs. The Oslo Accords give the Palestinians more land and have the Israelis moving out under the condition that the Palestinians recognize Israel to be a state deserving to live in peace and security. There is a lot more to the Accords, but these are really the most important facts that we need to know, because they relate directly to the Hamas and why they didn't like the Fatah at that point in time. Believe it or not, the Hamas started off as a charity group that had nothing to do with politics. However, because of the work they did, they attracted the attention of society and became competition to the Fatah and other PLO factions for popularity. It was in 1984 that they stopped the charity work and started delving more into the politics. The goal of the Hamas is to eradicate the Israelis and restore historical borders, which was when there was no such thing as Israel but only Palestine. Hamas believes that Israel fundamentally is a colonialist state built on force and aggression that does not heed the language of diplomacy and therefore is immune to peaceful solutions. The only option remaining is the use of military power and the continuation of the resistance. So when the PLO signed the agreement with Israel, the Hamas were infuriated because it rejected everything they stand for. The Oslo Accords relinquished the chance for the Palestinians to return to their historical borders. But this still doesn't answer our question. Just how did the Hamas become so much more popular than the Fatah that they would win the 2006 legislative elections in such a landslide? There are a couple reasons for the downfall of Fatah. The first being the people realized the Fatah were corrupt. The PA, which the Fatah were in control of at the time, were found to have stolen over $700 million of public funds. I'm guessing the Palestinians weren't too happy about that. The second big reason is that the Fatah aren't religious enough. Through promoting religion constantly through the media, they led the people to want radical Islamic rule. So eventually, the people were going to discover that the PLO charter never once mentions Allah, but the Hamas charter does so over 100 times. The Palestinians pretty much decided that the Fatah were ineffective and too secular, and that the Hamas would do a much better job in returning their land to them.